The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Jess De Los Santos. The Commission on Elections has laid down the guidelines for the filing of substitution. Greg Gregorio is reporting live from Manila to give us the details. Greg, let's start with the November 15 deadline for substitutions. Until what time can candidates file for a substitution, and what are the other guidelines that the COMELEC mentioned?
Yes, Jess, good afternoon. The Commission on Elections may process withdrawals of certificates of candidacies and application or filers of COC as substitution from 8 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon until November 15, except on Sunday, November 14. Previously, there aren't supposed to be processing of these on this coming weekend, but COMELEC spokesperson Director James Jimenez said the on-bank decided to open the process on Saturday as they expect the possibility of more individuals who might be filing or who might be withdrawing their certificates of candidacies and filing COCs as substitute. Jess?
Of course, all these developments comes on the heels of Mayor Sara Duterte deciding to withdraw her re-election bid as mayor of Davao City. What is the COMELEC saying about this? Is it possible for her to be a substitute candidate, and under what party is Hugpong ng Pagbabago a possible option for her here?
Just according to Director James Jimenez, Mayor Sara Duterte may file her certificate of candidacy as substitute for any national position, but not under Hugpong ng Pagbabago, because Hugpong ng Pagbabago is a regional party that cannot place any candidate for the national positions. So the only way for Mayor Sara to file her COC as substitute if she is a party mate of an individual who previously applied or previously filed his or her COC and then recently withdrawn. Jess?
All right, Greg, on another issue, what's the update on the petitions filed against the candidacy of Bongbong Marcos, and is the COMELEC looking at a timeline here in resolving the matter?
Just according to the COMELEC, there are 3 filed petitions in relation to the certificate of candidacy of Bongbong Marcos. These are 2 petitions to all of these petitions are eyeing to cancel the certificate of candidacy of Bongbong Marcos, but of these 3, only 1 has been raffled so far to the 2nd Division. And according to Director James Jimenez, the summons from the 2nd Division may be sent to both parties from today or tomorrow, and the COMELEC will be issuing a notice for pre-conference meeting where the councils of both parties would have to attend. From there, the COMELEC will be giving both parties 3 days to file their memoranda, and then the commission and then COMELEC 2nd Division would have to decide on the matter. There will be no hearing unless a party would request for such. Jess?
Another thing, of course, that the COMELEC has to answer to, you have the president during his weekly talk to the people saying that, there should be more leeway when it comes to campaigning despite the pandemic. What are the guidelines mentioned here by the COMELEC when it comes to that? Are there going to be restrictions on crowd attendance?
Just Director James Jimenez did not mention further details on the activities that will be holding by political aspirants or aspirants for all of the available positions for the national for the upcoming 22 polls. But Director James only said that they are indeed allowing in-person campaigning or activities amid this pandemic. Jess?
All right, now give us an update regarding voter registration. We do know the COMELEC saying that there are now almost 62 million registered voters. How many of those are newly registered?
Just according to the October 18 hearing of the election registration board, there are already more than 5 million newly registered voters that will be added to our number of registered voters who are eligible for the 2022 elections. And according to Jimenez, 50% or more than 50% of the currently 61,999,327 registered voters are registered youth voters. And to be exact, we are having 32.7 million registered youth for the upcoming elections. And Jimenez also highlighted that these numbers may still increase as the ERB, or the Election Registration Board, is set to have another meeting soon. Jess?
All right, it seems as though the youth vote is really going to play a factor in next year's elections. Thank you very much for your updates. Greg Gregorio reporting live from Manila. President Duterte has appointed Lieutenant General Dionardo Benardo Carlos as the new chief of the Philippine National Police. Carlos will be replacing outgoing Police Chief Guillermo Eleazar, who is set to retire on November 13. Carlos is currently the chief of the PNP's directorial staff, the fourth highest post in the National Police. He was also a former PNP spokesperson in 2017 during the term of former top cop Senator Bato de la Rosa. Now, the World Health Organization is looking forward to the second generation of COVID-19 vaccines in the form of nasal sprays and pills. The WHO says these types of vaccines would be easier to deliver and could even be self-administered. Over 120 vaccine candidates are undergoing clinical trials, while close to 200 are still being worked on in laboratories. So far, around 7.2 billion doses of COVID-19 vaccines have been administered worldwide. Chinese President Xi Jinping is set to unveil a new doctrine that could cement his grip on power. Bloomberg's Daniel Kate discusses the possible global ramifications in this video.
During his first near decade in power, he's consolidated power and centralized power. China is a very large, complex place to govern. And what Xi has done is, with his corruption campaign and some other measures, made it so that officials are much more worried about stepping out of line. You know, this is the benefit of reducing corruption, but at the same time, it's made a lot of the bureaucracy very responsive to Beijing, which sometimes means that they're scared to take actions that would help economic dynamism at the local level. Xi's power has its benefits in the sense that he can snap his fingers and a bunch of officials just automatically jump. The problem comes when you have conflicting messages from Beijing that go down to the local level. So, for instance, during the latest power crunch, that was exacerbated by the fact that a bunch of officials were racing to meet the central government targets on emissions. And that meant closing down certain power plants and doing everything they could to meet those targets at the expense of the economy. So you even had, official commentaries in Xinhua saying that officials were taking things too far. So if you're an official on the ground and your promotion essentially relies on the fact that you follow the orders from Beijing, you're going to do that. And so, when in reality the government wants you to use some common sense as well and not do something that would ultimately hurt the economy, which would ultimately hurt the Communist Party as a whole as well. What's next is really kind of, how does Xi Jinping govern going forward? Does he allow some sort of local innovation and decentralization that could help the economy over the long term, or does he stick with kind of a rigid model of governance? He's already said that he wants China to innovate at a local level. He's trying to get ahead of the U.S. on a number of ways, particularly with spurring technological breakthroughs on semiconductors. So the question is whether this extreme top-down model will actually end up hurting China's economy over the long term, because officials are too worried, too scared to kind of innovate and experiment at a local level, which has helped China's economy really grow tremendously over the past few decades.
The health department reports more than 2,600 fresh COVID-19 infections. That brings the country's caseload to nearly 2,810,000, some 29,000 of which are still active. Almost 100 more virus fatalities were confirmed overnight, pushing the death toll to over 44,600. Recoveries, meanwhile, now stand at above 2,735,000, with more than 4,000 new survivors today. Only 4.3% of some 35,700 individuals recently tested for COVID-19 turned out positive. Here's a quick look at today's other top stories. President Duterte is backing employers who refuse to accept applicants who are unvaccinated against COVID-19. He says such a restriction would prevent the spread of the virus and ensure continuous business operations. The Social Welfare Department isn't keen on imposing a no vaccine, no subsidy policy among 4-piece beneficiaries. DSWD Assistant Secretary Glenda Relova says vaccination is not stated as a condition under the existing law. And cinemas in Metro Manila and other areas reopened today after 20 months of closure due to COVID-19. Only those fully vaccinated against the virus are allowed inside movie houses at 50% capacity. For more updates, visit News 5, the Philippine Star and Business World online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. I'm Jess De Los Santos, and we are One News.